What's up, YouTube? It is your girl Latrina, and I am back again today with another tarot spread read. And it looks like in this card lineup, we have a whole entire row of women coming out. We have 4 women that show up in our spread today. We have a main female, we have a mature woman here in the second row, a false person, and also a privileged lady on the end. And starting off with our main female in the first row, she does come out in the reverse. This main female finds herself under a lot of pressure at this time. She feels like the world is upon her shoulders. She's holding the weight of the world on her shoulders. She feels weighed down. She feels trapped, and she even feels pinned. And she feels like she cannot get out. That's the type of burden that this main female finds herself up under at this current time with this Ten of Wands coming out in this first row. It depicts a heavy, heavy burden. And this card gives the message of do not break your shin on a stool that's not in your way. So it looks like she has injured herself on something that wasn't even regarding her due to this card coming out. And maybe she's injured herself over this truth that she may have tried to prevent from coming out. Or maybe that has already gotten out. You know, she tried to prevent it and it's out. The truth is out. With this Eight of Swords, something has been brought out into the open for all to see with that Ace of Swords. It exposes all truth on this main female and this heavy burden that she's upon her. That's upon her. And there may, like I said, been some truth that was revealed. And it's caused her to, go into it. Some kind of a transformation has come upon her situation. And this card is the death card in the traditional tarot. So she may, somebody may have transformed that was close to her, meaning a death. Maybe someone close to her died or passed. Or maybe, she's facing a death. She's facing a transformation her own self in her own life. This truth that has actually, come out has caused a transformation in her life. That's as simple as I can put it. And it, could be a death of someone around her or her herself. Or a death to something, it doesn't have to be a literal death. It could just be a death to a particular situation that this truth brought. But it actually wasn't even her business. If she had just minded her own business, because that one card says that she was involving herself and she injured herself on a stool that wasn't even in her way. It wasn't even in her path. It wasn't even her business. That's how she injured herself with this Ten of Swords. This Ten of Wands and this Ace of Swords is what brought the injury because it is the truth. And next we do come along to this mature female who also comes out in the reverse. And she's feeling some sort of rejection at this time, coming out with this Four of Cups right under her. She's feeling rejected. And it says, much treasure and many moths. So she's sitting on much treasure and it's just collecting moths. And it says, where's the ref? And then, we also have her coming out on top of the Four Sword, which does, let me know that she's aware of something. She has an awareness about something that she's actually watching go down, you know. And she refused to speak about this particular whatever that she was aware of, that she has an awareness of. She did not use her voice. She did not, that throat chakra was in the reverse. So she did not speak about this awareness, that whatever she was aware of. And I'm assuming she was aware of this truth with this Ace of Swords, but she did not say one thing about it. She did not open up her mouth at all about this truth. And probably she was watching to see, that, and make sure that you never became aware of the truth. She did not want you, to become awake to the truth. And that truth, was never spoken, never said, and never mentioned. It now has her feeling rejected. And maybe this truth is regarding some type of a, finance or some type of a treasure, as the card puts it. And it's just sitting, this treasure is just sitting and it's just collecting moths. And she's aware of it, she's very, very aware of the situation that's going on with this treasure collecting moths. And she will not say a word about it. And she's also trying to make sure that you don't become aware of this actual truth about this treasure collecting moths at this time. And then in the third row, we have this false person coming out in the reverse as well. And this false person has a page of cups coming also out in her row, which usually speaks of a message. And then it says, when in love, a cliff becomes a meadow. Ethiopia, in the open. So something has been broadcast, and I'm thinking that it's this truth. This truth is now in the open because of a message. The message is what put this truth out in the open. There was a message received from this page that did expose this truth about this treasure that's sitting up collecting moths. And also this truth did expose her as a liar, this false person here. And it has her in the Five of Pentacles, which, speaks of someone being left out in the cold. And then she also feels out of balance because she did get this balance card in the reverse, right in her same row. So this situation has left her feeling out of balance and out in the cold. Off balance and out in the cold because something is in the open. Something has been brought to the open air through by a message that came from a page. And this message has left her feeling out in the open. And even it made her feel like, she was out in the cold, left out in the cold regarding a situation. Maybe, because of this treasure. This treasure is what left her feeling out in the cold. And then the exposure about this lie, because this truth exposes this lie here. This truth trumps over this lie card, which is the Five of Pentacles. that Ace of Sword cuts right through that lie, and it exposes the truth on this false person. And then our next female coming out on the deck is this privileged lady that is in the reverse. Something has changed regarding her status and regarding her finances and her resources. Something has flipped upside down, and it has gone into a different direction with this Eight of Wands coming out in that same row. Because there has been something looked into regarding this privileged lady in the reverse. Something was being looked into, and this looks like this can be an investigator or someone that is actually, reviewing some things, shedding the light upon the situation with this lady, with this privileged lady. Maybe he's looking into her privilege, made her privilege. And this action that was taken from this investigator has caused him to change horses in the middle of the river. Whatever light that he shed upon this investigation about this privileged lady, it's caused him, or it's caused the investigator or either the privileged lady to change horses in the middle of the river. And then it's even saying that she may need a stretcher, because after you try to get off of a horse in the river, probably the horse and you both will probably drown due to this information that is being looked at, is being reviewed by someone of higher authority, and this may be an investigator. She investigating this privileged lady, and it's got one of the two individuals in the river. It's left them up the river trying to change horses in the middle of it because of the direction that something took. It actually went into a different direction. I think it's regarding this treasure. This hermit or this investigator has actually looked into something that's caused him to change direction, the course of direction of this treasure, because we do get that Eight of Wands, which speaks of a change of direction, course of direction, when it's in the reverse. Regarding this privileged lady and this mature woman also, that she was aware of the whole situation. And that has left her feeling rejected, and I'm not sure why she would feel rejected if it was, a treasure that's sitting up collecting moths. Well, I don't see why that would make her feel rejected. She felt like she needed a referee in her corner, and usually when you have to call in a ref, that's regarding some type of a competition, some sort of a game or a match. Maybe she felt like she was going up against someone in a competition for this treasure, maybe. And she's wanting a referee for, a third set of eyes, because, she may need someone that's not, she's hoping that, there's not, I don't know about that, but she's actually looking for a referee. And sometimes, people look for referees, because they may be getting their ass whooped. That's what I see when I be watching boxing fights. They look for the ref like, hold up, he's fighting, he's doing this. But they be getting their asses whooped because something has actually changed the course of direction due to this, whatever was being looked upon, and examined by this man here. And this may be, an official person. And whatever that, they did discover when they looked into this stuff, it's caused a change of direction, and it's even actually caused this investigator to change his horse in the middle of the river. And I'm thinking both of these individuals had to change their horses in the middle of the river. Talking about this privileged lady in the reverse and this investigator. They had to change their horse right in the middle of the river, And that's like almost a drowning situation that could put you on a stretcher because you and the horse will probably go down if something like that were to happen in, literal, in a literal sense. And you see, there's no more rejoicing and celebration for this privileged lady in the reverse. She had her time of partying and getting celebrating and drunk. Let's toast it up. She did that many times, based off of her privilege and her affluence and her, her status. She was of a higher status at some point. But this has changed course. God damn it, little bitch. Right, this has changed course. And so, something that she did, and I don't know that it even had anything to do, it had something to do with this truth. Stop it. Something to do with this revelation from this investigator that's caused things to change course in action. And even trying to change horses in the middle of the river. On this privileged lady, there will be no more toasting it up, no more rejoicing and celebrating, no more of that rejoicing and celebration. Something has changed course of direction with that. Instead she feels like she's out in the cold. The night has come upon that, upon that celebrating and partying and rejoicing and laughing and, the rain has come upon this situation. Because it says, while it rains, fill the jar. She probably didn't even set nothing aside for herself in a raining situation, And maybe the person that was looking over this paperwork is this attorney coming out as the Five of Wands. And these fives, they speak of conflict. They speak of heavy conflict. And we got 2 fives on deck. We got the Five of Wands and the Five of Pentacles, which speaks of being out in the cold. From this false person brought that 5 in. And I'm thinking that all of these women, they are all in conflict, with all these 5s coming out. Due to this change of direction that this treasure took, it's left these women in a state of rejoicing in the reverse. So that means mourning, If you're not mourning, then if you're not rejoicing, then you must be mourning some type of a situation. They don't even, believe it's left them all in their head. All 4 of these women are no longer in that celebrating mode, They had to put an end to that because now they're in a mode of conflict. Because this attorney has stepped into the spread. And he re-looked into some things that caused them to change course. It changed the course and action of this treasure here that was sitting up collecting moths. It just changed the course and it caused a lot of conflict between these 4 different women. They're all in conflict. And they're even trapped in their head. It's a mental conflict going on, which has been coming out for the past couple of days. And I was thinking of it in a whole nother aspect, but this mental conflict is different. It's hitting different because we have both aces. Because in our last row, we have a child and then we have a triumphant success. Also with the solitude here. So that just tells me that when you get 2 aces in a spread, that really confirms that something is, out in the open. It's very, very, very clear. All the truth is out in the open because that Ace of Swords speaks of truth. There's been a transformation in the direction of this course. And it brought in two aces with it, which is two truths. You know what I'm saying? It's two truth. Regarding this mature woman trying to keep someone unaware of this treasure and this false person that's coming out as a liar, with this Five of Pentacles. And that's a big reason that this conflict has arisen between these four women, because one of these people is coming out as a liar, and out of balance at that. And then you got another person that's just accustomed to having everything, a nice life. But someone has been looking into her situation, and they have actually decided to change the course of action here. That's a double confirmation on that change of course, because that Eight of Wands and then this horse jumping on another horse in the middle of the river and trying to do it at night, where no one sees you. Like they don't want to be seen changing horses. And I'm thinking that that's that privileged lady, She don't want to be seen jumping off her own. She don't want to be seen jumping off her course and her horse.